Hello everyone, so in this video I'll be talking about designing user-friendly interfaces for content creators. So let's jump right into it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the importance of intuitive content creation tools. So these are basically straightforward interfaces with an intuitive navigation so that it can streamline your content creation, right? So that your efforts actually pay off. So you need to make sure that you have an intuitive interface so that your users can actually go through your content without actually having a hard time going through your content. So it should be easy, straightforward, and just intuitive. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the key principles of UX design for content editors. Alright, the first principle is the hierarchy. So basically you need to make sure that you organize your content very well so that it's easily consumed by your users, right? So you need to make sure that you focus on the important content and make sure that it stands out, right? So it visually stands out so that your users can actually go through your content easily, knowing what's the important points on your content, right? So this is the hierarchy. So you basically need to make sure that you grab users' attention by highlighting the important parts of your content. Alright, the next principle is the consistency. So you need to make sure that you're actually consistent with your content, right? So you need to follow a standard way in which the content you're actually creating is usually created, right? So it needs to be familiar, right? So this is consistency so that your users can actually go through your content very easily, right? So don't try to reinvent the wheel all the time, trying to be too much creative and actually not following the standard way in which content is created so that the users or your target audience can actually know and go through your content very easily. So you need to make sure that you're pretty much consistent with your content and your design. Alright, the next principle is the balance. So basically you need to make sure that you have a balance on your content or on your design, right? So you need to make sure that you have a structure for your content and also how you design things for your content actually has a structure, right? So that it's easier for your users to actually go through your content. Parts of your content need to be distributed evenly so that it's pretty much straightforward or easy to go through your content without everything being in the same place, right? So you need to balance everything to make sure that it has a structure so that it's easier for your users to actually go through your content. Alright, now we're gonna talk about balancing functionality with simplicity. So this basically means that your functionality should be pretty much simple. So you need to identify which features on your platform or on your website are important, then make sure that those features are pretty much made simpler for the user to actually navigate so your users don't have a hard time actually going through those features or trying to navigate your website, right? You need to make sure that it is pretty much simple. So sometimes you might want to have a lot of features, but you need to make sure that the features that you know are important are in place, and you need to make sure that those features are pretty much navigatable in a very straightforward manner, right? So that the user doesn't have to do a lot of things which will eventually overwhelm the user, right? And they'll actually go off and do something else. So you need to make sure that your functionality is pretty much simple and straightforward, right? So that it's easily navigatable so that the user can perform the tasks related to that feature or those features pretty much easily. Alright, now we're gonna talk about accessibility considerations in design. So this basically involves making sure that your content is easily accessible. So this means that you also need to make sure that people who can see can actually access or use screen readers to go through your content or go through your website, right? So you need to make sure that it's accessible by every single person, right? So even people who can see, they can use screen readers to actually go through your content. And if you actually made your design look pretty much straightforward and everything is balancing and is straightforward, it can be accessible very easily and it will be understandable, right? So you need to prioritize accessibility so that your content or your website is accessible by all types of users. So make sure that you consider accessibility when actually creating your content or creating your website. Okay, now we talk about the mobile first approach to content creation. So in the current day and age, you know that pretty much most people use their cell phones to access most things or most tasks online, right? So it's almost saying that your target audience will use their cell phone or their mobile phone to actually access or go to your content. So you need to make sure that when you're creating this content or when you're creating a website, you need to make sure that you focus more on the mobile friendliness of your design or of your content, right? So that the users who are actually using your website or who are going through your content don't have to pinch through the website to actually read your content nicely. They just have to read your content very much easily, right? So they don't have to hassle where they actually have to zoom into some parts of the content, right? So just make sure that whenever you're creating the content or when you're creating a website or designing a website, you need to make sure that you focus first on the mobile friendliness of that website. All right, now we'll talk about the user testing and intuitive design. So this is basically important so that your content is visually appealing or your website is visually appealing, and also helps in a way that your content or rather your website is functional so that you don't have to find mistakes while the website is actually live. So you need to make sure that there's user testing to make sure that the website is pretty much functional and everything is working perfectly or it works very well. Because if mistakes are picked up by your users, then you'll lose a lot of users, right? So your target audience won't find value in your content because there are mistakes in your content, or basically there are some mistakes on your website, right? So sometimes some navigation is wrong, so you need to make sure that you do user testing and you make sure that the website looks pretty much functional. And this will also help so that your content is targeted for specific audience, so that the right audience can actually consume your content or use your website and get some value from it. Now we're going to talk about empowering creators through thoughtful design. So having a well thought out design can actually help the content creators to create their content and edit their content without having any stress in editing their content, right? So with a simple and intuitive user interface, the content creators can actually edit their content very easily because everything is pretty much straightforward. They know where to click, everything makes sense. Like some of the icons that are used, like they are mostly used in a lot of other content creation tools, right? So they'll know some of those icons, so they'll know what to do. So the navigation will be pretty much straightforward. So it'll be easier for content creators to actually edit their content. So this is the file of WizardWigg Editor. So with this WizardWigg Editor, you can do a lot of things. You can create your content seamlessly, you can create a content without a hassle, right? So it has everything set up. You have all the tools that you need to actually create a content. You can insert your images, you can insert some files over here. It doesn't matter if it's mp3, you can insert any type of file here. You can also insert your links. So basically it has all the tools that you would expect from a WizardWigg editor, right? So you focus more on actually creating your content for the user so that everything can be set up visually, right? So like I said, we have everything that you would expect from a WizardWigg editor. So you can bold the text, you can increase the font size, so everything like is set up nicely, so everything is not in one place, which will make it difficult because it will be overwhelming and you won't know where to look, or you might know where to look but you will forget easily because everything is everywhere, right? So they've set up everything nicely, so you can go to font size, you can increase the font size. So as you can see, you'll get the font size once you click over here. You'll see everything related to the fonts, right? So everything over here is hidden so that it's shown once you click on this button that's related to text, right? So that this is not overwhelming basically, right? So everything is set up nicely. So also you can insert an image. So basically you just go over here, then you can have your image there. It will be uploaded, and of course you can resize this according to how you want it, how big you want it. So you can create your content nicely. You focus more on actually creating the visual part of your content without stressing about the code and everything. So you can have your text here, and actually you can have a hyperlink. So you can have a link and you send a link over here, which will be a link to Google. Then you can insert that link. Then once the user clicks on this link, it will take them to Google or to whatever URL you've provided, right? Just like how a WizardWigg usually works, right? So yeah, it has all the features that you need to actually go ahead and create a content. You can italize, underline, and you get everything related to text. Like the text color, you can change the text color. over here, you can change it to whatever color you like. So if you want to insert a file, you can just go over here or go below here, then you can insert a file, and it can be any type of file. So I'll just insert an mp3, so, or a WAV file over there. Then you can select it, then click over here, which will insert that file, which is this WAV file over here. So you can insert any type of file. So of course you can align this nicely, like align it to the center, like how you would expect a WizardWigg to actually work. So you focus more on actually creating your content. You don't get stressed about actually the code side of things, right? Then if you're a developer and you actually want to use Frala, you can just click over here and it will give you all the code that you can insert on your website to actually use Frala on your website, right? So I can have this WizardWigg on your website, right? So you can edit your content on your website instead of having to write the code yourself, right? Having to start everything yourself. You can use a WizardWigg Editor and you can edit everything on your website. Then everything will be set up, right? So just click over here, you get the code and you can have that on your website. All right, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Have an awesome day. Bye.